Stephanie Mills, baby.
Came crashing down on me, but like a storm that's just been building up too long.
Welcome to another phenomenal podcast of the Sista Natasha podcast. Happy Sunday, happy relaxed Blue Jeans Sunday today. We are down live at Renee's place where you can come. You can have an early lunch or an early dinner. We're located in downtown Cleveland. We are Cleveland's #1 seafood and steakhouse. How do you know we #1? Because I said so. And the food is amazingly good. We have amazing cooks. I am your host. A live audience agreeing. You know, you never your hungriest unless you go to church and want to be hungry after church. Everybody can testify to that. But I am your host, Sista Natasha, believer, serial entrepreneur. I'm an advocate of the truth. I am your church boss chick, whatever you want to call me. But listen, I want to welcome all of our viewing listeners, all of my social media friends, and people that I don't know that are friends, all of my IG family and followers. Thank you guys so much for subscribing to the Sista Natasha podcast. It is my pleasure to welcome you into Renee's place today and also tell you that Black films matter. Black films matter. Black films are what keep the Black families laughing together, especially during a pandemic where we're not doing anything at home but watching TV. So I want to introduce this phenomenal woman to you. I'm going to take the time to read her bio because I tried to find information out on Sister Donna Dash. I promise God, I thought she was in witness protection. I could not find nothing on this lady. So I had to call her. You can't get, that's the way to get the truth, is you call someone and say, girl, I need some information on you. So let me just read this to you guys because you're going to be surprised just as I was. Donna served as director of the SBA Business Development Center for over 8 years, helping entrepreneurs build profitable and sustainable businesses. Donna has held change management and leadership positions in large corporations for over 25 years. So she knows what she's talking about, know her work. In addition to her professional pursuits, she is vice president of the Society of Urban Professionals, SOUP Incorporated, a networking organization committed to building and bridging relationships within the African American community. In 2012, Donna used her passion for building community to spearhead her idea and lead a team to launch the Greater Cleveland Urban Film Festival. She has since served in volunteer capacity as the festival organizer, film acquisition specialist, and chief programmer. In 2020, Donna launched her business coaching businesses, providing assistance to help entrepreneurs in the following areas. Entrepreneurs such as myself. Serial entrepreneurs is when you have more than one job, when you're really working for yourself. It's the hardest work, but it is the most beneficial. Business strategies, business systems, networking opportunities, social media strategy. We got a whole lot to talk about.
Right.
Pricing structure and value proposition. Donna is active in the community and currently serves on the board of the advisory committee of several local organizations, including my very own favorite, the Caramel House. Welcome, Donna Dash, to the Sista Natasha podcast.
Thank you so much.
Girl, you got it absolutely going on.
I'm so happy to be here, and thanks for inviting me. You know,
It
it's
is
like
my pleasure.
you listen to all that stuff, and it's like, you know, I just do stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you hear people talking about it, it's like it puts all the things that I love together in one place. So it's my pleasure to be here and share a little bit about what I do and why I do it.
Listen, I want you to know that it is our great pleasure to have you on this podcast as one of Cleveland's native homegirls. That's what makes it all better. We didn't have to fly you in from Kinsman or Harvard or nothing like that. We had to bring you. Glendale. Oh man! Hey! Listen, Shaw, you know this program is still sponsored by the Shaw High Cardinals. I don't care what you say. You got John Hayes, Linville Marshall is in the building, but
It's all okay.
it's okay. We family here at Renee's Place. Tell us, Donna. Tell some of our viewers that don't know Donna, that don't really understand, your passion for what it is that you do. Just give us a little bit about where your background. You already shout out your school. That's okay. We're going to let you have that one.
Lunch is my neighborhood. My school is Collinwood.
Oh, double
so
trouble.
I've been around a long time and done a lot of stuff, but my passion and commitment has always been for community. Okay. And years ago, I like I said, I've been around a while, and I grew up at a time where community was close-knit. You knew everybody in your street, around the corner, that went to your school, and, we took care of each other and support each other. And then through the years, you saw the dilapidation and just the disconnectedness and all this other stuff that wasn't great. So my commitment was really to keep the community connected, keep myself connected, and contribute where I can. Because I could see people didn't have opportunities just because they didn't have exposure.
Correct.
When you stay in these small communities, you don't see anything else going on. You don't understand really there's this bigger world with all this opportunity.
Right.
So all the things I do really help connect people to ideas and opportunities, and then some of the things just have a good time.
What drew your passion to film, storytelling?
It was just another way to deliver exactly what I was doing. So, but what really inspired that is I had a chance to go to the Cleveland International Film Festival, which now is in its 40th, I think, fifth year. This mammoth thing, hundreds of thousands of people. And I loved the energy. I looked around and I didn't see many people of color. I didn't see many stories of people of color that I really wanted to watch, but it was a good time. So then it just made me think, and I actually was challenged to get my own. Because I'm like, well, where are the people of color? They weren't there. It's like, and I grew up in a time when we had our own communities, our own thriving businesses. So it's like we did okay when we had our own. So I'm going to start a film festival. So at the time I was doing Society of Urban Professionals with Alton Tinker. Okay. And we had a community of like 6,000 people in our email base because we were really before all the social media stuff. Right. So we had an audience we could just connect with.
And that was a good, 6,000 was good.
Yes, it was good numbers at the time. Again, it was just really about connecting people.
So let me start off by saying when we start to mention Shonda Rhimes, Issa Rae, even Ava DuVernay, we see the rise of women going from in front of the, behind the cameras to in front of the camera. We have now seen the Mike Berrys of Cleveland, the Ray Jr., which is my son, and the things that they direct now. Tell us, what do you think about the films on Amazon and Netflix and the platforms where we are now bridging cultural barriers? Because a lot of times they won't put us on some of these networks, but they see we sell. Right. Black people sell stuff, y'all. We sell anything that is good, and some not good. But tell us, what do you think about some of those platforms right now?
First of all, I like to say Mike Berry is on our board.
Okay.
So, very good in depth, Mike. And we love his work. We love all what he does. And the festival is actually Greater Cleveland Urban Film Foundation that we created that delivers the festival. But I'm so happy to see, somebody told me a long time, Black movies have always made money. And if we look at our history of entertainment and culture, everybody follows what we do. It's now the economics. With Black Films Matter, I think it really helped, or Black Lives Matter started it all really. And it's no different than what was going on in the 60s.
And the Lives Mattering made the Black Films Matter.
So it's a way to tell stories. But really back in the 60s, you look at James Brown, Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud, right? It's the same thing. It's just now that there's more of a spotlight, now people are more thirsty for. So it's a great time to create content and help share our stories. So these platforms in the industry is going to emerge with the whole new virtual land and the COVID and the way people make films and the way they distribute films. But it's, Amazon, I've never seen so much. Amazon, Netflix, Hulu. I mean, there's just tons of content. So it's a good time, but we still really have to get into a good job of getting that content distributed and getting people to watch it. Yes.
Listen, Sister Dab is telling you guys, giving you great wisdom and knowledge today, because I know that I've talked to a lot of you guys this week that like to write stories, and stories lead into edited versions of uh, information that can lead into a book, can lead into a small film, and it could end up at the film festival.
Absolutely.
So tell some of our viewers, how can they get that content into the right hands that's just itching right now, have been during this whole COVID, have been writing, have been doing things in the house. I mean, you could come up with a whole series just being in the house with some kids right now. You'd be like, is these really my kids? I've been in the house with them for 8 months. So tell us.
Yeah, there's so many opportunities for people to network and connect with people. The festival every year, even when we were virtual this year, we had a top actor studio. We had conversations with writers and producers. So, getting to know people and really understanding what they're looking for, or doing something new, or how do you put a new twist on an old story.
Okay.
There's so many stories in our history that haven't been told. So even be creative around that. I know in the festival this year we had one about the women's auxiliary during the Army, which was interesting to me because my aunt served in the women's auxiliary in 1943 and 45.
Wow.
And I wanted to know more about it, so it was a great story. This whole troop of women went over to England to sort mail because there was a backlog of mail. I think, who knew this? But like you said, just getting our stories out there and telling our stories so that a wider, and it's not just for us, it's for the majority community too, to understand how rich our lives are, how we've contributed to history, which changes the bias. You start to see people differently. I watched a show last night called The 24th. It was on Amazon. And it was about a black regiment in Houston that were both, basically the story, they mostly were all court-martialed because they were basically defending themselves.
Okay.
So, there's so many stories.
And I used to tell stories traveling doing comedy. And I found that the storytelling was more funnier than like maybe the one-liners or the two-liners, because stories lead people's mind into the place that you're trying to get them to go to. And each punchline, to me, I was like, oh, this is funny. They all laughing, but this is serious. So some stories, whether you're storytelling, where you're giving poetry, whether you're in an incarcerated place, sometimes just the meditation of being alone, and then always praying about your mind, because your mind is where it teeter-totters a lot of different things, with life situations, and then where you want to see yourself in life.
Yeah.
So I think what you've done in the film festival has brought so many fresh and general and ideas to people that are not afraid anymore.
Yeah.
The kids are not afraid to get in front of the cameras. You mentioned TikTok earlier when we were talking. If you can do TikTok, you can write a short story, seriously, because it takes courage to get on TikTok.
There's so much talent. And that's another place to display your talent. When you were talking about comedy, I was thinking the one thing I don't see enough in the films that get submitted are comedies. And I decided probably because they're just hard to write. I'm not really sure how that goes, but storytelling is an art, and it's something that it's a business, and it's something you want to learn to do and deliver well.
Let's talk about. I know that Cleveland State and Tri-C Metro are developing digital storytellers. They have the same skin tone. What are we doing to make sure that we tap into the resources
for the connecting with the? So the other thing, the Great Cleveland Urban Home Foundation is the umbrella that delivers the festival. And we have an educational program that we're connecting with the colleges. So the first, the festivals will be in our 10th year in 2021. So it's a big deal for us.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. And it's been a grassroots labor of love by a team of mostly volunteers. So recently, we found enough money to give me a part-time job in addition to the other things that I'm doing. But that's really one of the important parts of things that we want to do, is really connect with now that the film industry is here and develop in Ohio, is connect with the colleges and the schools so that our young people get education and training. Because in the film festival itself, we employ a lot of contractors during the year.
Okay.
So it's a place where people can work, they can learn,
Okay.
and the community can benefit.
And I'm actually praying that the things that Ray is doing and has developed, like his first film was Rent Due, but before that he starred in The Game Is Not For Everybody. So I'm watching him do all this stuff. I was like, wow, you're moving in a whole different realm. And then now the new movie that is coming out, Legit Paper, with his new documentary. So you get a chance to see your kids do things at home or in their older ages where they start shifting. You know, you go to college for one thing, and then later on you start doing all these other different things. And I was like, man, this guy is talented. You know, and it's amazing that you bring all of your other friends that are interested in doing these same things along with you. So it's now getting to a place that we just move into the motivating each other. Like you said, back in our communities, we used to help build relationships. Like if you like TLC, they knew you could sing on the street. We wanted to grab, we finna start us a group. But Gov showcases minority films. A lot of people didn't know this, which reinforces positive images and dispel negative stereotypes. Why is this so important to our community, especially in these times of social unrest?
It's really what you were saying. Stories create images, and images are lasting.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that I love about the festival is you just present a story or documentary or something positive, something, because the news just reports everything horrible
negative,
bad, right?
Yeah, and that's not
so
true.
Again, if you never see anything different, you never can reach for anything different. You never understand you can change your condition, especially if you don't know your history.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thing I love about the fact that we exist, is because I don't have to preach to anybody. I don't have to sit you down and get you straight.
Right.
I can just share a story with you,
right,
digitally or verbally or whatever, and then you can decide, how that affects you, and you can see, oh, there's some other things that I could be participating in, or maybe I might want to learn to be a comedian, right?
Yeah.
Because I see
yeah,
other people doing
and
it.
the
But if all I
storytelling is
see
great.
is turmoil and trauma,
Yeah.
that's my experience. I mean, how can that help me change my condition? So for me, that's just the important thing of keeping our stories alive, keeping our community connected, understanding there's a bigger world out there, especially now during COVID. I mean, we've had the opportunity to grow up without it
Yes.
and have a whole, but there's some young people coming along that this is all they know,
Yeah.
is lockdown and mask and
Yeah.
sanitizing this. And
We had actually had a fundraiser last night here for Bashir Jones, who is my councilman, and the concert brought so much diversity into. You had singers, you had storytellers, you had poets, but the energy behind everything that each person delivered last night just shows how our community is so important, because you have that's why I hang with the younger generation, because they keep me motivated, they keep me excited, they keep my mind going. And I said, if you're the smartest person in the room, that's a room I don't want to be in. I want to be in a room that there's other movers and shakers, there's other people that's going to drag me along and say, hey Tosh, we can do this old thing a new way and still get good benefit from it. As part of the film festival, it's dedicated to youth by showcasing films and panels and discussions. As a person who also has a heart for the youth, tell us why it's so important to make sure that we offer programming. Programming is so important because some of the kids that are the most gifted don't have the financial piece to go along with this. Tell us some of the programs that you guys offer to the young people.
The thing we started first is called G Couplings, and it's for students from 13 to 18, where they learn to write.
Listen, you guys,
they learn
about
screenwriting and what it takes to take a movie from concept to actually on the screen.
Okay.
So we have an instructor, Connie Perone, that works with them year round, and this year they, everything was virtual. And the funny thing she shared is that it was a challenge to get them to work virtually because it reminded them of school. But they still produced 10 10 virtual screenings. Yvonne Pointer, she's one of
Yes.
our community partners, and she wanted to do something for the younger people from 6 to 12. So
Okay.
she created What's Hollywood Kids. And every
Okay.
year they have screened, I think, about 10 films or so. And they also have panels and workshops on what it takes to get into acting for children, and how they can develop their skills. So again, this is the future, so you can't exclude
We can't exclude them.
the young people, and there's so much talent in Cleveland.
So much.
And we feel like people can get education and start. The film industry is changing; it's moving around. You don't necessarily have to go to Hollywood to work. There's
Right.
Atlanta. There's productions here.
Mhm.
We just want people to be ready. The biggest thing is people have to develop their talent. So it's one thing to have some raw ability, but you want to stretch and grow and learn techniques. And I see so many people. We get so many projects submitted from local projects where they just get together, and sometimes it works out great.
Mhm.
But you can see where if you had a little bit of more
Yeah.
training and
Yeah.
information, that thing would be amazing.
Training and information. Don't take your storytelling for granted. Get involved with what's going on in the community, whether it's virtual. Get some good information. Get some appropriate yourself and facilities. Go to some of these facilities that have been in place for a long period of time. Kiramu has been around forever. Kiramu is one of the strongest. Has one of the strongest abilities to be able to create bring out what's on the inside of you. They have I don't know who worked for Kiramu. Listen, honey, they'll draw blood out of a dying person and bring them back to life. Hear me. One of my nieces graduated from the University of Virginia, and she started going to Kiramu. And when I used to watch her, I was like, "Is that my niece?" Because she was such an introvert, and they just brought so much out of her. Some of your favorite films. Tell us some of your favorite films.
Well, when I tell people my favorite films, they tell me I shouldn't be a film festival director. But it's Two Can Play That Game.
Okay.
Is it Bats?
With
Halle Berry.
Yeah, that was a good one.
I like comedies. I like comedies and documentaries.
Mm-hmm.
So those are and so I'm in a non-African American land. It used to be E.T., but I went and looked back. I went back and looked at that. I'm like, why did I like that movie?
Right.
Because it's just so old
Right.
now. But my favorite films are documentaries because I learned so much. And then secondary, I want to laugh.
I'm glad that you said comedies because some of my favorites were Love and Basketball,
Yes.
Waiting to Exhale. I
Love
believe
Jones,
that
was a good
Love Jones and Spike Lee had been trying to develop himself for so long to whereas he wasn't taking no for an answer. His drive and his determination and motivation was that you may not let me in today, but I'm getting in. And it blessed me to see that when Tyler Perry named one of the studios after him, Tyler Perry just has his mind is just so phenomenal and how he develops stories and films, and he brings the African American community together and make them feel like you deserve to be here.
Yes.
And Hollywood has kicked us around and kicked us out for so long that I believe that Atlanta is the new Hollywood for us.
Yes.
Tyler has created a platform to hire felons. I was just reading in a magazine where about 30% of his staff are ex-felons that has these amazing abilities to come in and to do film, to write. If they can, be a criminal, they got great game. So, Tyler all about the game.
Right.
So I just like these type of, Sidney Poitier was one of my favorites. With Guess Who's Coming to Dinner.
Yeah, you're taking me way
That
back.
one, we old, baby.
Right,
We're in our
right.
50s, so, we want, y'all, they don't know nothing about none of these films I'm talking about. But Sidney Poitier took what he learned in those films and then began to direct. So no matter what your gifting and calling is, you may start out just doing storytelling and then find out that you like to direct. So just what would you say to our youth population before we leave today that really has a desire um, to um, to write, to direct, and just don't have that confidence. You have to be confident and believe that you're able to do way beyond what your situation or circumstances, you know, especially in the inner city kids.
I think I guess the biggest thing is to, like I would tell everybody to look for the Great Creek Urban Film Festival in year 10. All the young people
Look for it.
And participate. You know, watch a movie. There's something for every age. From 6 to 12, there's a Hollywood Kids program. From 13 to 18, there's a G-Cup Links program, and they can look to sign up. They can go on our website.
Give them the website.
gcuff.org, GCUFF, like the name, Great Cleveland Film Festival.org.
Not handcuffs.
No,
G-cuffs.
And just send us a note if they're interested, and we'll make sure that they get connected. But like for young people, they just need exposure. They need to see someone doing something they're interested, and they need to meet someone doing something they're interested. And once you see that, most people want to help, and they want to take you along the way, but they don't necessarily know that you want to go. So I would say at least have enough courage to take that first step and ask someone to help you get on the path. If you want to write, start writing, and then ask someone to help you. And they'll connect you. Sometimes, you know, the schools are bogged down, and I don't know what's now going on with virtual learning, but it's hard to get individual attention. And it's sometimes even hard to know what you want to do. But if something piques your interest and you think to yourself, oh, I want to learn more about that, then go learn more. I just say start there, because that gives you opportunity for other things. Like you said, you never know where you're going to go. And even when I work with small businesses, I said you just have to get going enough to let the magic start to happen, because you don't know where that business or that idea or that concept is going to take you. But you do have to reach out and make some connections.
I'm reaching.
Right?
This is a connection. I did not know Donna did all of the things that she does according to her bio. So this is going to be like one of my new BFFs.
Yes, thank you. I love it here.
Just because she started off with SBA, you know, we need SBA information right now.
Too.
I mean, I need all loan information. If anything got to do with a loan that I don't have to pay back, amen, somebody. But I want to take this opportunity to tell you, thank you so much for what you do for us. Thank you for how you represent us, especially as an African American queen, and you don't mind sharing the information. You know, you meet so many people that have the information to get someone to the next level, especially another sister. You know how hard that is to encourage us to work together, and you humble. You stay so humble that you are approachable. You have great energy. So I want to thank you for that. Thanks for coming to the podcast and sharing all this information, especially to my young people. I have a passion for young people. Co-founder of Victory Center for Youth, Melissa Garrett Hirsch, with her new name now. We have, for 10 years, took our program and tried to invest into our youth, especially those that have children that have incarcerated parents. That's our CHIPS program. And that's one of my favorite programs, because when your loved one is away, you kind of lose your way at the same time. So we're going to partner with you guys. We're going to get some information. So I just want to thank you guys for tuning in today. Before we go, we're going to close this episode out with one thing we know for sure is Mrs. Dabbs and the G Cuff is carving a space in Cleveland to showcase our artists, our talent, and films. Hollywood needs to take a notice to what we're about to do. So we want you guys to stay tuned. Keep yourself encouraged, keep yourself informative, and don't be afraid to ask for the help that you need in this season. This is the fourth quarter. We're not giving up. We've made it all the way through 2020, and we're not going to let these last couple of months defeat us. I've said this last week, I'm going to say it again. This is a season where many families get depressed. People don't have the things that they feel like they should be able to give or to receive, but do not let that be a reason for not asking for what it is that you need. If you're hungry, reach out to Renee's Place. I got a restaurant. You can come down here and at least get a wing. No, I'm just joking. But I want you guys to continue to be a part of this Sista Natasha podcast. Next week we have another phenomenal episode of the Sista Natasha podcast. Tune in, follow, share, give them some information where they can find you at.
Our website is gcuff.org. I'm Donna Dabbs. You can follow me on social media. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, etc. And feel free to reach out and ask me questions, follow, and stay tuned.
God bless. Take care. We love you. Mwah. See you next week. Thank you. That was awesome and amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.